Alrighty, I think we got it. Hi, thank you for sticking around. Alright, let's see if I can get this. There. Alright. Hopefully the YouTube quality is not awful. We experienced some issues with it last month, I think. I should probably see if I can get a link out. I don't think I'm linked to... Perhaps I am. Let's see. It must still be linked to the phone. That's good. Alright, so we're going to go over to Buy Me a Coffee. We're going to start here in just a second. I'm just going to let the co-conspirators know that we're live streaming because this is kind of offbeat for us to be going live on a Monday night. We're kind of in a transition season at this point, trying to figure out exactly what nights work best for everyone. We've been doing our weekly streams on Friday nights, but since I work Saturday morning and then work all day, it's been pretty obvious that that's not really going to be sustainable unless something changes to where I can stream earlier on Fridays and then get off earlier, or I'm not sure. Not sure how it's all going to work out yet, but we're working on that. So let me go to messages, members. Alrighty. 3 people. That's better. All right, well, welcome to the channel. Funkdat. Is that an A? I think that's an A. Yeah, it's an A, not Funkdot. So yeah, and I don't have any tissues, which is okay for now. I also don't have any cats with me, which is great, because if I had cats, I would need the tissues terribly. So it's been some time. Man, when was the last time I did one of these? This is a live Q&A, by the way. You guys can send in whatever questions you might have. Let me turn this banner off. That might be one of your questions. Why does it still say the live stream will begin shortly when you're already live? There we are. All right. So let me introduce our channel just a little bit. I'll show you my website. So let me present, share screen, and should I share browser or the page? I think I'm just going to share the tab, so let me share the tab. Alrighty. And let me change that background, that might be a little distracting. Alrighty, so this is our website, BibleVersionConspiracy.com, and this really works well, actually, because one thing that I was thinking of doing was going back and reminding everybody what this channel is about. What it is about. So, Bible Version Conspiracy, our slogan, read your Bible like the devil's after it, because he is. And there truly is a Bible Version Conspiracy, IMHO, in my humble opinion. So we base a lot of we base a lot of our assumption that there is a conspiracy behind the modern Bible version controversy, not on Peter Ruckman, not on the writings of Gail Rplinger, not on any King James only author. I actually base most of my suspicions that there actually is one on Lawrence Dunnigan, who is a Catholic pediatrician. I don't know if you guys have heard the story or not. It's our channel trailer where we give a basic rundown of the story. Long story short, pediatrician sits in on what he thinks is a regular pediatrics meeting. This happened in New York City, not too far from here. And he thought it was just going to be a normal pediatrics meeting. Turned out that the man who was speaking, one of his mentors, Dr. Richard Day, gave a rundown of every piece of the plan for the coming world system. One of the key elements in there was changing the Bible a little bit in key words, not removing verses. He said nothing about that, although it may have been part of the plan. I don't know, because this was in 69, I believe. May 28th or May 29th, 1969, if I'm not mistaken. And by this point, the verses were already, they were already out of the Greek text. So there were other things, I think, that were accomplished by the Greek text long before that. We'll talk about that at some other point. But the thing is that Richard Day said words that were very key to Christian theology would be changed just a little bit to a synonym or such. To align, not to align yet, but just to be a little bit different from the current word. Like, say, damnation gets changed to condemnation. That would be an example that I would think of. Now, that's not the end goal. The end goal is for the next time it gets changed, for it to be changed to a synonym of condemnation that is not related to damnation, if you get my drift. So basically, you go from the first meaning to a synonym, and then you go to a synonym of the second meaning, which is not related to the first one. So like damnation, condemnation, judgment, something like that maybe would work. But the idea is to take these key terms and make them more suitable for a new world order, a new world religion, like David Daniels talks about. So he actually, I think, was he the first guy I heard it from? I don't remember. I was actually introduced to the concept from my remembrance by a friend named Wesley. Very smart young man, does a lot of research on conspiracy and stuff like this. So you guys aren't staring at my unanimated face here for too long. That is the video that I'm referring to. Proof that no one talks about. The title is Notice Something Unbiblical in Modern Bible Translations. It might not be what you think. There's a little button to go to our channel. Different things we offer on our website. We offer a fairly extensive library. I need to update it, add some more books that I have now, and also a recommended reading list. I do have a list on there of all the books that I have recommended in our description. I add to that regularly, so you guys can check that out. It's a Google Doc. Got a free digital shop where I throw things that are digital. There are some things that I'm planning to throw there soon. There's actually an audio booklet that I want to change into an audio book at some point. I just need to get the author's permission to do so. Join the membership. That would be our co-conspiracy program, where you guys are kept updated on our research. You guys are allowed to participate in our weekly private stream, which I have toyed with the idea of calling it the underground stream, but it's not official. You can also go to log into your account here. And, oh yeah, and also you get to proofread my terrible emails. So I'm not a scholar. That's one of the better things about our channel, is that I'm not an educated, I'm not a text critic. I'm not schooled in paleography. I do not speak Greek or Hebrew. I do not write Greek or Hebrew. I do not know the Greek or Hebrew alphabets. I'm pretty sure I know how many letters are in each one, but I'm not quite sure. I'm just a nerd regarding the Bible version translation controversy. And I'm reacting, and I'm thinking about it from a conspiracy standpoint, which not many people do. I'm in a niche under a niche. And there's a lot of things that I have found being in this niche, and a lot of things that I deal with that most other people don't stoop to. Things like the Mandela effect. A lot of people will not deal with that. That's one of the it's part of my niche, so I do. And I've dealt with it extensively in the past. Oh, let's see. So, and then there's our merch shop. Wait, where was I going with that? Okay. So the idea that I'm not professionally educated. I am also not great at spelling a lot of things. Even as of a few days ago, I was spelling shepherd just on the fly without checking. I was just spelling it repeatedly. Shep-erd, like it sounds. So just not right. So I have fixed them in this document that I'm working on, this page for our website. But you guys proofreading my emails is an excellent help, because I'm pretty much using my phone right now, and Grammarly does not cooperate very well. Google Docs helps a little bit, but I miss being able to do so many things that I used to be able to do. We're working on it. And also, as members, you guys get to fund our project, the Bible Version Conspiracy here. I believe the minimum is $7 a month. You guys can donate more than that monthly if you like. I actually have at least one co-conspirator that does do more. I think there's two. I'm not positive, but it's a great help. It helps us keep this channel going. Right now, we are running at the bare minimum. There are many things that I would like to do as well. It does also help us be able to purchase a book here and there that we need to further our research. And yeah, so anyways, that's basically the membership program in a nutshell. The Sherp our merch. If you click that button, it takes you over to our merch shop where you guys can check out the different designs that I've made, and there's a couple more coming on the way. I'm actually going to run one by you here pretty soon. So this breaks down a little bit of our ministry, which we'll get back to. There's some encouraging words people have given us, and then a Let's Talk section where you guys can contact me directly from the website, or you can email me at bibleversionconspiracy@gmail.com. So I'm going to go over to About Us. This is not the correct page. How you can help join our mission. Here we go. So that's the About Us page. Here's our mission. There we go. It finally loaded. So let me be clear as to what I'm here for. I believe the King James Bible. Yes, I do. But I, as the content creator, as the one who is trying to steer this project, there are some things that I have to do. Like, I have to be willing to listen to opposing viewpoints. And when I see something, I have to say something. And I have to wait for people that are much smarter than me, like people like Will Kinney, David Daniels, different people like this, for them to get back to me and give a convincing argument against such and such thing. One thing that I have very recently heard is the idea that the King James Bible is not copyrighted. I've thought that and believed that for years now. I've been a King James only believer since about 2011. So over 10 years. But the thing is that there's a lot of things I'm finding out that don't hold water. So this whole copyright thing, Doug Kudlek, way back in the day, told Brian Ross on a video, it's still on YouTube, he told him that it was a Ruckman original argument, that argument originated with Peter Ruckman, and that the King James translation not being copyrighted was supposed to be an indication that God's word was to be found only in the King James Bible because it's the only currently published Bible that is not copyrighted? Doug Kutlick had a good answer to that, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. Doug Kutlick said that it is copyrighted, but it's not copyrighted in America because we had a rebellion from England, and we don't recognize that copyright. It is a crown copyright, as Mike Hoggart said, that makes it so that you cannot alter its text. That's what the copyright is there for. The idea of modern Bible translation copyrights is that they're making a lot of money off of it and such. You have to get special permission if you're going to quote more of it than so much in your book. If you're going to write a book, you have to get special permission, probably pay royalties, such like this. And then they have exclusive rights to publish it and all that, where anybody can publish a King James. Zondervan does, Thomas Nelson does, all these people. So, personally, I would not use the argument that the King James Bible is not copyrighted, which it was copyrighted. It has Latin terms for a copyright. I forget what the actual words were that Doug brought up, that Doug dug up. Oh, oops. But it was copyrighted from the beginning. So I would never, I at this point do not see how I can use that argument to say that the King James Bible is obviously God's word because it's not copyrighted. I would not use that argument. Peter Ruckman would use it until there's no tomorrow. Like there was no tomorrow, sorry. All right, so this is our mission. I hope to bring awareness of, probably would be a better word, bring awareness of the conspiracy. Let me make this text a little bigger, actually, for you guys. Oop, not that way. This here way, trust me. There we go. For those of you that are familiar with Patch the Pirate, you'll get that reference. And also, like I said, this is a Q&A, live Q&A. If you guys have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll check back with you in a second. First object of what I want to do is bring awareness to the conspiracy lying behind the modern Bible translation and the modern Bible version controversy on both sides of the aisle. Right there is where a lot of people are just like, see ya. Because I believe that if there is a conspiracy against the Bible, and if it does involve Bible translations into modern English, King James Bible, also a translation into modern English, but early modern English. So please do not say that it's Middle English or Old English anymore. It drives us up a wall. Bringing awareness to the conspiracy that lies behind the modern Bible version controversy on both sides of the aisle. I believe that there is a conspiracy that operates behind King James onlyism. I know that's going to hurt for a lot of people, but I do. I believe there's a conspiracy theory, a conspiracy behind it. I've got plenty of theories, I'll tell you that. And I believe there's also a conspiracy that operates behind the modern Bible translations, their texts, their scholars, all that, and then some. I don't know if I lost you yet or not. Stay with me. Because another thing that I want to do is I have been on a mission for the last several years to document my personal quest to untangle the modern Bible version controversy and determine if King James onlyism withstands the closest scrutiny that I can render and the close scrutiny that others bring to the table. I appreciate what people have done in this niche, in this realm, this controversy. I appreciate everyone who has contributed. and I want to compare their arguments, like the one guy that wrote the juror's verdict. He tried to take the arguments from both sides of the controversy, compare them, and see whose were most accurate. And he tried to accurately, at the best of his ability, accurately represent both sides. That's pretty much what I want to do with this channel. But I also want to do it recognizing the reality of a conspiracy behind the modern Bible translation controversy, because there is one. For those of you that are conspiracy theorists and that are aware of different things that go on, there's no way for us to imagine that it doesn't touch the modern Bible translation controversy. And those of you that don't, and who doesn't since 2020, those of you that don't recognize any kind of conspiracy whatsoever, hang on to your hats. Because if you're going to stick with this channel, it's going to be a wild ride. Check out some of our videos that we've gone through before. Wow. Document a personal quest, my personal quest, to untangle the modern Bible version controversy and determine if King James onlyism withstands the closest scrutiny. Especially King James onlyism, because that's the one that I espouse. I would say that I'm a King James onlyist, even though it becomes increasingly harder to wear that label. It does, because I'm going through a lot of material right now, and I'm seeing that some of the authors that I have accepted the arguments of for a very long time, their arguments do not hold water. I am finding that they were very inadequate and in the deep end of the pool where they couldn't swim. And it's kind of a hard realization to come to. I'm not saying that I'm advocating for the King James Bible to be changed. I am not saying that I'm advocating that the text be altered and that different verses are obviously added to the King James. I'm not saying that at all. Mostly what I'm dealing with right now are all the other arguments. We'll get into those in future videos, I'm sure, and you can ask me specific questions if you would like to on this stream and others. Reach out to me through our Facebook page. Reach out to me through our website. If you got a question, I would love to hear it. This is the third thing that I'd like to do, is I'd like to build a video library that details the accuracy and inerrancy of the King James Bible. So when there's part of the King James Bible that people are like, oh, this is obviously an error, I want to go and I want to be like, okay, they obviously had a reason for why they did it this way. Maybe it was a bad reason. Maybe it was a good reason. Maybe you think it was, an outdated translation. Okay. But is there an actual error in translation here? And bring forward the arguments of different King James only people, researchers like David Daniels, Will Kinney, people like this, and see what's actually going on. Deal with things like the King James Code, different things like this. And because, I'm sorry, but people like Mark Ward in his recent video, and a lot of different people that have touched on the King James Code, as it's sometimes called, Brandon Peterson and Mike Hoggart have done a lot of recent research on that. There was another guy, Ivan Panin, I forget his name, but I believe E.W. Bullinger, who did not accept the King James Bible as being inerrant. He had a lot of information on code, so-called, in the English language Bible. And a lot of things that were not, that I don't see being addressed accurately. And that's kind of made a parody of, and people just kind of go away from it and call it numerology or something like this. I think there's a lot to it. There's a lot of things that I think there's a lot to. I'm in deep on the Confessionals podcast, listening to that. So there's a lot going on that we don't understand. And I appreciate that podcast very much. It's run by a man named Tony Merkel. You can check it out on YouTube. it has really opened up my mind to a lot of possibilities, let's just say. And we'll get into those in the future. Fourth thing I want to do is magnify the Word of God and shed light. Hang on a second. Magnify the Word of God and the light. Okay. So magnify the Word of God and show the light that it sheds on the modern Bible version controversy, because there's a lot. There's a lot that the Bible has to say about things that are argued about on Facebook regarding this controversy every day. There's a lot. Something I used to do more of. I haven't done a lot in number 4 recently, but there's more that I want to do in that vein. Some things that I've noticed recently as well that I should put together. And what was not on that list? One thing that is not on that list is I am here to tell you that the King James Version is faulty and that its text needs to be updated. It's not one of the things that I'm trying to prove here. I'm not here to dissuade you from your translation. No, from the King James Bible. I'm not here to dissuade you from that. I'm also not here to make you think that your New International Version or your New American Standard Bible or your New King James are New Age versions. I am not here to parrot Gail Rplinger. I'm not here to parrot Peter Ruckman or Sam Gipp or David Daniels or Will Kinney or anybody else. I should actually add these to our mission statement. I am not here to accept every King James only argument that comes down the pike. I'm here to try to ask difficult questions because I'm trying to find out if I'm trying to determine if King James onlyism withstands the closest scrutiny that I can apply to it. And if I'm going to do that, I have to ask hard questions. I have to consider the possibility of conspiracy. I have to consider the conspiracy, the possibility that people may be lying. I have to consider that. And I have to consider the arguments from the other side, because if somebody's going to find out, if somebody's going to discover, or somebody's going to know that King James only arguments are inaccurate, the first people that are going to know are the critics of King James onlyism themselves. On the other hand, the first person that is going to know if the modern Bible translation advocates, if they are correct, or no, if they're incorrect, the first people that are going to know that are the King James only people that are putting the screws to them every day. And there's a lot to be considered on both sides. Sometimes one side or the other will skirt around a certain fact, and where the other person will make heyday out of it, or make hay out of it. There's just a lot. And that's where I take a page and I try to, figure things out. Some of the topics that I've covered on pages so far are 1 John 5:7, the 400-year history of King James onlyism. I'm working on a page for the Dead Sea Scrolls. Easter, I've gone on that one pretty deep. King James, I've gone on that one pretty deep. The King James Code, there's some information there about that. The Mandela Effect, I'm going in deeper. I went especially deep on the idea that lion and lamb used to be in Isaiah 11:6. Never used to be there. But I think I found out where it entered. Maybe it entered earlier than that. I'm not sure. But that's a deep one. And the more you look at the history of Isaiah 11:6 and how it's been quoted, the more you realize how the Mandela Effect doesn't work. It's great. So we did one on Christmas. We did one on mistranslations. Codex Sinaiticus, that one got hairy. The Triquetra, as far as I'm aware, that page on the Triquetra is the deepest dive that is available. that acknowledges the idea of a conspiracy. Gail Rplinger, in my opinion, did okay-ish in her video that she made about the logo of the New King James. She did okay-ish, in my opinion. There are some things on there that I still have to double check. That page is not finished. I haven't read the entry in, what was the guy's name? The Dictionary of Classical Names or Encyclopedia. Oh, Lampire or whatever. A classical dictionary by Lampire. Like I said, I don't have multiple languages under my belt, which really sucks, but that just makes me a typical King James onlyist that's just trying to learn things. So if you want to tell me how that's pronounced, I'd love it. Love it. Here to learn. Here to learn. And so the Triquetra, to my knowledge, is the deepest dive available on that subject. There's a lot of people that have said a lot of things on there. Most of it has been based loosely on what Gail says in that talk, which is sad, in my opinion. People should be doing some of their own studying on that question, but they're not. So, anyways, and I don't want to brag about it either. I'm not trying to brag about that page. It's just it took me a lot of work to make, and there's still a lot that needs to be put into it. If there's anything that you have found on the internet somewhere that you would like me to add to that page or any of these pages, send me your recommendation and tell me where you would like me to add it or what information you'd like me to review. Totally open to that. The Westcott and Hort page also, I am building out. I've looked most extensively at the accusation that Gail Rplinger conflates B.F. Westcott with W.W. Westcott, who was a known Rosicrucian at the time. There was no conflation. None at all. Now, this is the problem with James White and people like this that say that he was conflated, that Gail basically melded them together in her mind. The thing is that her description of Westcott being a spiritualist, where she just says Westcott was a London spiritualist, the reason she says that is because of one of the things that Westcott's son said. I believe his name was Arthur Westcott in the Life and Letters of B.F. Westcott. He says something about his father's that he didn't quit the Ghostly Guild because he didn't believe in spiritualism. That's not why. That he lost faith in spiritualism or something. It was because he was just like, no, this isn't good. So Gail kind of misconstrues that, in my opinion, and also says that he had a lifelong faith in spiritualism, which he did not. So she completely took that one out of context, in my opinion, from what I've read, from what I've found. But it's that instance that got her in the fix where people think that she conflated B.F. Westcott and W.W. Westcott. That came through James White. And it's not true. It's not true. So those are some different pages that I have right now. There are many that I'm still working on. There's some dictionaries and reference works that I have here. The two by Lampire. Classical dictionaries 1 and 2. One's from 1831 and one's from 1904. Just, so you can check them out. The one's a PDF. It might be easier to load. The other one is text heavy. So, careful loading that one up. I'm reconsidering having that one in there, but we'll have to see how that works out. Lexicon of Early Modern English, the Middle English Dictionary, online etymology dictionary, and the Oxford English Dictionary online. So there's some different resources there that I think you guys will find helpful. Some featured links to some different pages and such like that. So this is basically our website. That is our sponsor for the evening. If you guys want to check it out, go right ahead. It's BibleVersionConspiracy.com. So let me check comments. It looks like there's a few. All right, let's see. So I'm going to make myself this big. And we're going to go to... All right, so relatively new to this channel. Thank you for joining. And if you're not subscribed, by the way, there's a little subscribe button somewhere. You can click that. It may be down there, possibly. I'm not positive where it's going to show up, but it's somewhere around there. Avery F., are you on the TR Academy Facebook page? I don't think... Well, am I? Crud, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Nick Sayers mentioned that to me the other day. I don't know if I'm on there or not. Oh boy, New Jerusalem Online dropped the book of Philemon. Oh, just drop the book of Revelation, please, and let's just get it over with. That guy, please. And our first podcast by that name was about this guy. Tyler Doka. Thinks he's Jesus. Thinks the entire Bible was an allegorical story that never happened. And what it was really doing was it was adding up to the revelation that he was actually Jesus. Oh, that guy has some special needs. And by the way, I checked his name in a few different forms of gematria. I think I have it. Do I have it on a page? I don't remember if I have it on a page or not. But it didn't add up to 666 in Hebrew or Greek. If I remember correctly, though, and I was surprised, if I remember, it actually does add up to 666 in simple English gematria. I was like, what? So yeah, watch out for Tyler Doka. Let's just say that for now. Don't want to waste the whole evening talking about that screwball. There's some good refutations of him on YouTube. I hope that one of them's mine. If not, maybe we can redo it. Nathan Reynolds as well. Excellent. I don't know if he's always accurate all the time on all the things that he says, but his testimony is incredible, and I appreciate him a lot for exposing the conspiracy that he was living. He was living a conspiracy. And if anything, it may be heavier of a conspiracy life than even Bill Schneblin had. Have you been to Jesus for the cleansing power? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Yes, sir. Thanks, Matthew C. Stephen Hayes. Haven't seen you for a while. How you doing? All right. It is true that the KJV is copyrighted in the UK and also Canada, apparently, because, you know, they recognize the crown. They just kind of, what did they do? Would it have been secede? And they got their independence by asking politely. Americans, we shoot the redcoats until they're dark red. The Canadians are polite about it, and they say, may we please have our independence? My wife's Canadian, so I get to say this. And they said, absolutely, in their British way. But the US doesn't recognize it. But the UK doesn't enforce the copyright. Well, they don't enforce it to the degree that they allow people to print it. It's not like what is it? Barker, I think was the name of the original printer. The original printer. Not 100% on that. It's not like he's the only one that can print it. And it's also not like the British Crown is the only one that can print it either. Or there's no international war about, Canada printing King James Bibles or whatever. They don't enforce the copyright, so anyone is free to publish and quote it. Well, yeah, it's also a 400-year-old translation, so it's kind of hard to say, like, yeah, this is still ours. I don't know. That is true of no other version. Yes, that is true. Unless you might be talking about the Geneva Bible. I'm not sure how copyright holds with that, or the Bishop's Bible, or what have you. The RV, the Revised Version, or English Revised Version, as it's sometimes called, 1888 and 1882, I believe, was the New Testament, and 1888 may have been the New Testament, or no, the Old Testament. I forget. I'd like to know how that one is copyrighted, because that was also printed basically by the British Crown, if I understand it correctly. And it's also very old. So that would have gone out of at least 100 years. Like if the copyright holds for 100 years, then yeah. Be gone. It has to mean something. I suppose it does. I don't want to make light of what you're trying to say, Stephen. But the thing is that something having to mean something, I wouldn't be able to say, I believe the King James Bible because it's the only Bible that doesn't have a copyright on it. Well, guess what? Somebody else could make a Bible translation tomorrow and be like, I don't want to make a copyright on it. I want this to be, open source, public domain. That wouldn't make it the Word of God. Just because somebody doesn't copyright it, or some kind of political structure makes it so that it's not copyrighted, it doesn't make it infallible. The meaning of that... hang on. Oop. The meaning of that particular label has recently changed drastically. Meaning of that particular label. King James onlyism, copyright. Talking about labels that have recently changed dramatically. How about if we open a can of worms, huh? The New Independent Fundamental Baptist Movement. Stephen Anderson. Now that is a label that has recently changed drastically. Let me know what you guys think about what's going on there. I've read a lot of funny things associated with it, and I've listened to the interview that John did with Preacher Boys. My wife listened to the one that his daughter did with Dead Domain. Open a can of worms, I'll tell you what. The Calvinist Clemens. I count all MTCs, so that'd be modern textual critics, Ward, White, etc., who accept, promote, and hail modern versions as the best, no different from Alexander the Coppersmith, who withstood God's word. 2 Timothy 4:14-15. I don't know about that, because Alexander the Coppersmith, if I'm not mistaken, he would have been a worshiper and a fabricator of idols, because he worked with copper, so he would have possibly been making copper idols, or even worse, because the different things copper can be used for. So, yes, he did withstand God's word. You give the verse here. Alexander the Coppersmith did much evil. The Lord reward him according to his works. Of whom be thou aware also, for he hath greatly withstood our words. Well, let me tell you, White and Ward, I would be able to say that they greatly withstood King James onlyism. I wouldn't be able to say that there are less people that, well, maybe there would be less people that use the King James Bible. Maybe. But there's plenty of people that accept what they've said and still use the King James Bible. Have they destroyed faith in God's word? I wouldn't be able to say that. I would like to see proof that they did. I have seen where they have detracted and disagreed with King James only arguments, yes. And where White and Ward would be more than willing to point out what they think would be an error in the King James Bible, I have seen that as well. Would I be able to say that they have greatly withstood the Bible, like just the Bible itself, which is what Alexander the Coppersmith would have been doing, where he's withstanding the Apostle Paul? I would not be able to say that you can apply that verse to Ward and White, especially where Ward still uses the King James Bible. In his personal study, he still uses it. And also, one of the things that I appreciate him for is that he goes and he looks at the etymology of words and what they meant in 1611 and tells us about it. The False Friends series. I appreciate that a lot. Do I agree with him on textual criticism, or White for that matter? I don't. I think they have some very interesting arguments that I still want to see answers to and everything. But am I going to be able to say, nope, I'm sorry, I agree with them all the time now? I can't. Oh, there's so many things. So many things I could talk about. I just have a lot of suspicion as far as modern manuscript findings, especially where they relate to earthquakes. So, anyways, we'll talk about that at some point. Let's see. Yes, I have Matthew C, and I praise God every day. Okay, so you must have been talking to Matthew C. Okay, yeah, because the cleansing power thing. Alrighty. Good evening, Avery. Good to see you here. Good evening, Brother Calvin. Hello, everyone. Any Joey Faust fans here? Huh? Yeah, I mean, I am a fan of Joey's to the extent that I have and promoted his book, The Word God Will Keep It, which is right here. I visited his church 2 or 3 times, I think. He is still a friend at this point. I'm not going to be able to say anything about the future because I don't know what the future holds. Joey, you may even be listening to this stream. I don't know if you are. Hey, welcome. There may be some people from his church as well that are listening, so let me say that as well. Hey, guys. There's still some people that I have to talk to, as I understand there's some controversy that is going on out there. And, yeah. We made an audiobook of his book, The Word God Will Keep It. It is on YouTube. You guys can watch it for your viewing pleasure. It is there for free. So go right ahead and do that. Kelvin! Yes, and I was off on my dates. Yeah, that sounds better. 1881, New Testament, and 1885, OT. That's right. That's right. Oh boy, he went there. I'm guessing what you're talking about is the little aside about, the guy that has a strong preaching against sin. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, there's been a lot of King James only people that have opposed him very, very vehemently. Joey Faust being one of them, Brian Denlinger being one of them, both of which I do not agree with completely. Joey Faust on his kingdom doctrine. Joey, I'm still a holdout on that. You know it. And Brian Denlinger with his views about the Godhead doctrine and stuff, he totally misunderstands where it's coming from. It's really sad. So, anyways, that's what I have to say about him. I'm sure that there's much more. And Brian, if you want to contact me, go right ahead. That'd be awesome. I don't really, however, have much to reach out to him about, I don't think, at this point. So it'll probably just, our loving, close relationship will probably just stay, where it is. Let's see. So I have studied the millennial exclusion doctrine for about 16 years now. It has been a blessing to me. Okay. Gotcha. Well, that's all right. I'm not going to, Not going to hate on you for that. I understand where Joey's coming from. I've talked to him about it before, obviously. Here's where he and I kind of differ. Because he told me one time that either when he looks at the Bible, there are three options as far as the whole millennial exclusion thing. First option, we've been going for about an hour and 6. First option is Peter Ruckman was right with his dispensationalism, and eternal security only applies to the church age, and everybody before and after the church age has to be saved by a mix of faith and works. That's one way of doing it, which I think is horribly inconsistent, irresponsible, and just ignorant. So that's that. Second option. There's no such thing as eternal security. That's the second option that Joey saw. From the verses that he points out, I would be more willing to question not King James only. I would be more willing to question the idea of eternal security than I would accept the idea of millennial exclusion, where a Christian who is backslidden or what have you, or get this, if you have a Christian that was saved legitimately, grace through faith and all that, he's on the John Bunyan straight road, as straight as a rule can make it. Go away, fruit fly. This guy is legitimately saved. Let's just say, for sake of argument, that he is legitimately saved, and there's no question about it. He rebels against God, becomes an atheist, becomes a homosexual, all the whole 9 yards, just throws the whole thing in the can. Dies, goes to the lake of fire for the millennium, and then goes to heaven. I would not be prepared to say that somebody's works take them to heaven. Like Peter S. Ruckman would have said that for anybody before or after the church age, which I think is crazy. I would say that there is a definite faith-works relationship going on. But I would not say that if you, if you die after, like, oh no, there's a bus coming, and you're just like, oh, and you drop the G-bomb or whatever. Oh, you just blasphemed the Lord. Oh, you died. No, you're a Christian and everything. Well, you go to hell now. Haha. That's not what I would be prepared to say. I don't think that determines your salvation, like a lot of Christians do. And when people hear, oh, you believe you can lose your salvation. How dare you say that? You think you believe in a works gospel. I wouldn't say that either. If I said something, hang on a second. If I would say something, I would say that if eternal security went out the window, I would say, and I tend this way, that if you lose your faith, which is what is supposed to be taking you to heaven anyhow, if you lose that, it would make sense that if you reject Christ, that he rejects you. I'm just saying that. The millennial exclusion thing doesn't make sense, because then it applies to a lot of other things, because then you have eternal security as well, and it's just like, this doesn't sound right. But like Joey said this, not me. The only other option is that eternal security isn't true. The last letter in the tulip lineup, the P at the end, that's not true. So that's what I basically have to say about the millennial exclusion thing. You guys can talk about it however you like. I usually won't listen to anyone who very much that isn't pre-mill to some extent. And yeah, Joey Foster would be pre-millennial. I believe that hell and the lake of fire are not distinct places. Interesting, because hell definitely is in the Old Testament. And the lake of fire is where hell is thrown into, so that's interesting. So that is probably it for the comments for right now. I want to see... I'm kind of surprised, actually. I don't see any of the co-conspirators here this evening, but I probably threw them for a loop. Which means that I might be able to get away without doing an after show. That'd be great. Let me just check Messenger real quick, just to make sure that none of them reached out to me that way. I don't know if anybody that's on right now, there may be people that watch this in the future that have any questions about recent videos that I have posted about the New Age Bible Versions audiobook that I was working on for at least a year or two, I believe. I'd have to double check the timeline. But then it was canceled last November. And recently some controversy has cropped up about that. Some rumors have started, and I answered some of those in a recent video. And there was another one about the secret streams and what we talk about in those. And there was another one. The subject evades me right now. I'm pretty sure this chat is outdated. Check up here. StreamYard. Yeah, no, I don't see anything else. Okay. I'm just assuming that co-conspirators aren't going to join us tonight. That's okay. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Nice meeting everyone. Listen to the Bible version conspiracy quite a bit. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Let's see. There we go. And yeah, there was another thing that I mentioned on a secret stream that somebody took issue with. That, oh, you're just trying to get followers and stuff like this. Well, not necessarily. I've said multiple times that if King James onlyism ends up just being complete hooey, I will be forced to admit it when I find out about it. And I'll just have to be like, I'm not King James only anymore. Maybe I'll still believe in a Bible version conspiracy, but maybe my perspective will change completely on that regard. I will have to admit it. And I have said multiple times, if my subscriber count goes down to 10 or nothing, I'll just have to say the truth. So I'm not trying to get followers. But something that I heard recently from I believe he's a content creator and possibly a CEO. I forget who it was. But he said that this, just having an online presence like what we have is difficult. And it is. It really is. So he said that through your day, and when something comes up, if there's something that's like a bright spot where you're just like, wow, that's neat, or like somebody says something kind to you or something like this, screen capture it and save it in a folder. And then on the days where it's just like, I can't do this anymore, I never should have started this, I'm not the type of person for this, this is a complete waste of my time. Nobody's listening. You know, these different things that come into your head, which they've all come into my head. When those times come, go to your folder and remember what people have said, that people enjoy what you're doing. People are happy to see you, stuff like this. And let that be a little pick-me-up. So one of the things that I saved in the folder was, let's see, there was somebody that saw I was part of a Facebook group, and this person was just like, oh, Joseph Armstrong's in here. And I was just like, that's so neat and sweet. And, you know, I screen captured it, saved it in the folder, because I was just like, it's weird. It's really weird to have somebody recognize you from what you're doing online. It's really weird. But anyways. So yeah. And it's nice to meet you too. I don't know what Xenohelix, I believe, is the must be the pronunciation. Hey, if you want to reach out to me on Messenger, that's my primary form of communication. I like being able to chat directly with people in real time. I don't necessarily like doing email a lot. Texting is great too, but the thing about Messenger is you can contact people directly, and you also don't have to worry about sending them like a personal phone number or what have you. But that's one reason why I like Messenger. But if you're not part of Messenger, we can connect other ways if you like. Cease and desist. I don't know who you're saying that to, but it's probably because Xenohelix is trolling. I don't know, because that's the context it's mentioned is. Avery F. It's so hard for me to recognize people by their YouTube handles. If Ward reads the AV King James Bible, why doesn't he believe it? Or I assume any Bible, because the T and the Y are right next to each other. Or the R and the Y are pretty close anyway. Or the R and the E. Okay, so anyways. Why doesn't he believe it or any Bible to be God's preserved words in English, whilst also promoting Roman Catholic modern versions? Okay. What I would say from that, because I'm not quite getting the connection between how can he read a King James Bible? Okay, maybe I think I'm getting it now. Whoops. Okay. How can he read a King James Bible and then still promote the modern versions and not believe that they're all the preserved words of God in English? That's where we get into an issue of verbatim identicality and also somebody's scholarship and education kind of getting in the way. I would say that he would use the King James Bible because he uses it for his personal study. And he is not against the King James Bible and against people reading it, but he does say that if people are going to read it, they should understand it. And that's one of the primary movers, one of the primary motivators behind his False Friend series, because there's a lot of people that are King James only, and they're not going to give up the King James translation at any point in time. So he's like, you know, there's a lot of words in here that you think you know, but they're actually a little bit different from how they were in 1611, and they will affect how you interpret the verses. So he goes and he's like, if you're going to keep reading it, I would highly recommend that you know what these words mean. And there's a lot of people that don't agree with him on anything else, but they appreciate his desire to help people understand their Bibles. I appreciate it too. Yep, and that's fine. Typos, I tell you. I mean, I make more of them. I make more of them in a minute. Ay. Let's see. The confessional bibliography stand is pretty strong. They explain the Catholic connection pretty good. Okay. So I need to talk to Christian. I was so happy I was able to actually design a book cover for Christian. If you want to buy his book, please do. It started out being this. It's called How Can We See a Return to the Bible by D. Martin Lloyd-Jones. And the only thing that I'm aware of that has changed from this book to this one, which I'll show you in a second, is the cover and the cover design attribution in the front. The cover photo is by Eberhard Grossgestiger at Pexels. So that's what this one was originally from. I believe it's print on demand. I have not read it yet, but I would like to. I just haven't had the time and had it on that level of the priority list where I was able to do it yet. And then this is the new cover. I believe it's Dr. Jones reading his reading a book about the ancient church fathers, if I'm not mistaken, with his granddaughter. There we go. So that's the new cover now, which I designed, which was a lot of fun to do. Another thing that was cool was being able to actually see my name in here. It says cover photo by Joseph Armstrong. Right there. So that was neat. So if you guys want to pick up a copy of that, that's great. And that was published by Christian McShaffrey and the textandtranslation.org Kept Pure Press. Oh, and this is the back cover. I actually like the back cover a little bit more than the front cover because it just looks official and it's got the little barcode on it and everything. It just kind of gives me a little rise. So anyways, just thought I'd throw that in there. I think I've mentioned it before on the channel, but I haven't actually shown the book covers on there. So anyways, that's how I met Christian McShaffrey, because he needed some help with something else, which his brother ended up taking care of. And then he asked if I wanted to do a cover for him, and that worked out. So that's how I met him. And we've had some conversations before. I also have questions for him that I want him to address when I talk to him a little bit. And I've never actually talked to Jeff Riddle, who is the number one, as I understand it, in the confessional bibliology. And then Christian's kind of number two. And then third, I guess, would be Peter Van Cleek. I've talked a little bit to Peter. Christian McShaffrey, I've got a lot of questions for him about how confessional bibliology and its end goal and everything, how it differs from King James onlyism, because it sounds like whenever anything disagrees with the King James Bible, it's the King James Bible that's right. So it's like, okay, so we're basically, everything that we're working up to here is just arguing for the King James Bible. Oh, so what happens when the majority text or the Masoretic text is put aside by the King James translation and maybe the LXX is followed, which I've been told it happens in a couple of places? What happens then? I've got questions. I haven't listened to their series that they did just recently on the Latin Vulgate. No. The Septuagint. I haven't listened to that yet. I would like to, but it's a long series and it'll be interesting, I'm sure. I have already listened to the video responding to that conference by the videos by Mark Ward, a guy named Michael, and another guy named, or not Michael, William, I believe. William and another guy named John, if I'm not mistaken. So I've listened to that one, and I think that they had a lot of interesting points that I would also love to hear them answer. probably some criticisms that were a little bit too like, well, you got to understand. So, I mean, there were some things, I'm sure, but anyways, a lot of things to stroke your beard about. Which I've been growing that out a little bit recently because apparently the wife likes it a little bit bushier. So that's what we're doing. Oh, let's see. Yeah. Looking forward to talking with Christian. I was supposed to have done that a couple of days ago, but he never got back to me. Because I had asked him if he would text me, and he was like, sure. And apparently something must have come up because he didn't think he'd be very busy that day, but I guess he was. Oh, let's see. So, let's love everybody. Hey. Following after Jesus. I'm just trying to think of how I can abbreviate that. There's no real way. Following. Hi, following. Typing with my thumb in. That's funny. Oh, there's a... We're going to come back to that. That I think was probably to the cover because that's when I noticed that coming up, and I'm not. Probably was. If you're not doing an after show, I'll have to hold off on my cafe. Huh? I don't know. Not quite sure what you're saying with the cafe con lecky. I don't go to Starbucks, so maybe it has something to do with that. I'm not sure. Anyways. So yeah, if we do an after show, that is a link that we put out through Buy Me a Coffee to this StreamYard studio, which is this is being produced from. So then people can join me on the video end of things. That would be not recorded, and it would go basically just into the ether. We get to meet each other or whatever. Or I could always make another spot in the studio and then record that. Yeah, pretty much that way. So that would go out to members exclusive. So just as a thing. And we'll see if that happens tonight. If not, I believe we'd be reconvening a Friday night until plans change. So that usually happens around 10, sometimes 9 Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes it also goes later, and those are really late nights, which I don't like just before a Saturday that I work. But anyways. Bergen makes very good points in Revision Revised 2. Yes, he does make a lot of good points, but something we all have to remember is that he was not a King James only person, nor was he Textus Receptus only. He wasn't. So we can use his arguments, we can use his scholarship, we can argue with him, but if you're going to be a King James onlyist, you have to depart from Bergen at some point. But that's okay. Because then it becomes something that Bergen was not a part of. So, the old-time Protestants are good with bibliology. And I'm assuming that that would be people like... who's that guy that... I forget his name. The guy that Jeff Riddle makes a big deal about. John... Owens. Yeah, I know that'd be a good way to abbreviate it, but I mean, really, if I call you Fagic, that's like the only way that I can try to pronounce that. Hey, Fagic. That doesn't sound okay, so we're just not going to do that. I'm just going to call you Following. Hi, Following. How are you? Thanks for following. Thank you for following Jesus, first of all. Exactly, Avery. Okay. So about the bibliology thing, I believe. He You'd fight him right now. I'm assuming that you're talking about Bergen. What about Steven Anderson? Would you fight him right now? Oh, hot rocks. Hot rocks being thrown all over the place. We went there. Ay, ay, ay. Dang it. Oh, here we go. Why did I unplug that? Anyone? Anyways, I'm sorry, I just had to. Let me change my mic back because I think I lost it. Nope. It's good. Alright, it should be good. Why can't I still hear the music anymore? Let me try. Brand. I just had to make the joke and then I lost everything. Okay. So let me... How am I going to do this? Can I refresh the page? No, I can't. Can I go here? And maybe connect to a different mic? Oh. I guess I'm back. I can't hear the audio anymore, though. Poop. Whatever. Oh, nope, I can hear the music. Ha 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 ha. There we go. Right, back to comments. Comments. Recommence the comments. Do. Yes, Bergen, he's old. Oh, here we go. Bar stools and cords only. This guy has been following the... Yep, okay. Oh, yeah, people are familiar. I would love to see... what's the guy's name? Oh. The one really bearded NIFB pastor. I'd love to see him and Anderson go at it. Of course, Anderson would probably be curled up on the floor. Maja, I think is his last name. So that was me leaving. Yeah, me was gone. Come in. Hello. Someone is knocking on the studio door. Sound of someone gently rapping on my studio door, only this and nothing more. But it wasn't there, it was actually on the front door. And, so yeah, we got that figured out. What's sad is the damage people like Anderson or the more cultish sects do to the kids who grow up and their views of Jesus, and their view of Jesus is tainted by what they went through. I don't know who Owen Morgan, aka Telltale, is. We should probably look that up. That sounds fascinating. But yeah, the personality cults, I tell you what, there's been more things going on. It's just been one person after another. In the King James only niche, there are a very limited number of people right now that I can actually say, this person, I can trust this person. It's a sad situation. It's a sad turn of events, I guess. Steven Anderson, huge defender, huge of King James onlyism and such. New World Order Bible versions. I published a video about that so long ago with every conspiracy moment from that documentary. And the person that I considered my pastor through an online church years ago, Michael Hoggard, first voice that appears on the documentary against, they didn't even let him know they were going to be using it. He was just like, wait, what? Can you just even? But they used him very heavily in there. But anyways, one thing that's not cool with me, because there's this controversy, are his kids telling the truth, or is he and his wife telling the truth? Who's telling the truth? Thing is I already know that Steven Anderson can lie, and that he's okay with it. I already know this. Here's how. Remember that documentary that he made called Marching to Zion? He interviewed a Jewish rabbi, I believe, in that documentary. He also interviewed Tex Mars, if I'm not mistaken. And when they went to interview the Jewish rabbi, they knew that they couldn't say, hi, we're part of the new independent fundamental Baptist cult around Steven Anderson, and we're here to interview you because we're openly anti-Jew, so you obviously won't grant us an interview, or your interview will be tainted or what have you. So we're just gonna lie. And they did. They apparently told the Jewish rabbi that they were making a documentary for PBS, Public Broadcasting System, I think is what it stands for. No, they weren't. No, yeah. So we already know that Steven Anderson is okay with lying if he thinks that you need to have a lie. He'll be back shortly. Thank you. And yes. Yes, my mother is from West Virginia, and I know where Owen is coming from. Okay. That's what we're here for sometimes, is to be a little goofy once in a bit. Oh no, here's this guy coming up. I really don't mean it might to make light of the circumstances. Yeah, don't worry. We get it. It's John Kirwin going door to door, sharing the truth about the Bible changes this could be. Yep, I opened the door and shoot, it's John Kirwin. Hey, John. And that debate that he had with me so long ago, it seems, I still haven't published, because I have the video in my channel. I just haven't published it yet. And I thought it was going to be a discussion. I wanted to discuss the theory of the Mandela effect with him, learn a little bit more about how he thinks this is exactly happening, because you can't pin down a Mandalite on exactly what's going on, because they don't think about what they're saying. But yeah, him calling it a debate, it wasn't a debate. But I am kind of glad that it turned out the way it did, where he basically just kind of lectured me for like an hour or two, and I just kind of interjecting once in a bit, because it made a disappointment for his followers. And he's like apologizing left and right. Oh, don't worry, the other one's going to be groundbreaking and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. So I would love to talk to him about nothing but Isaiah 11:6. I would love to talk to him about that, and of course related passages, not passages that are also Mandela affected, but like the passage in Isaiah 65 that relates to it and such like this. I would love to talk to him for about nothing else for 2 hours and see how he does, because he's obviously done no research into the history of how that verse has been phrased, who it's been phrased by, the people that have phrased it carelessly, the pictorial representations of it. He's done no research on it whatsoever. And if you listen to this, I challenge you. Find me one image where the menagerie of that passage is portrayed and the wolf is not with the lamb. One. You guys love to talk about, oh, look, there's a lion and a lamb at the Christian bookstore, a lion and a lamb on a rug, on a coffee mug, on a placemat, on a keychain, on a bumper sticker. You love to say it all the time. Show me one illustration where someone is taking the care to represent the menagerie correctly. One. I'd love to see it, because everyone that I've ever found, it's been wolf and lamb. I don't care what century it's from. But yes, I love that. John Kirwin going door to door. This could be a while. Hey, if it was John Kirwin, we'd both sit down here and we'd be like, what's wrong with you? Back and forth. If you would have me. Yep. If you don't laugh, we just cry. That's from the Beverly Hillbillies. I keep laughing so I don't cry. Yep. Your chat is like 5 minutes behind. Oh, I'm just 5 minutes behind reading. So like the last one was posted at 9:56 and it is 9:57. And that would be following after Jesus. It starts with he has been. Let's see. So true. Oh, I remember that one. Your chat is like 5 minutes behind. LOL. It's how I found your channel. Yeah, he had saw it live and was going nuts that I could have typed anything such as Strong's that Revelation 2:10 and word seal. He has a video for years old proving he has been taking scripture out of context for years. Oh, yeah. And that's one thing that I accosted him on a little bit on his video where we were together. He's just trying to use these scriptures, and I'm just like, well, John, if you're going to convince anybody with this scripture, if you're going to convince anybody, please don't use this verse because it makes no sense for your argument. And here's why. And won't try to use that as biblical proof with you, but he will on those whom don't read read and study the Bible. Yep. His latest is that Hebrews 6:1. That's okay. Don't worry about it. And if you want to contact me more about that, that'd be great. Kelvin, after the poser made national news, he got puffed up and took it out on any and everyone that he possibly could, thinking he would never get caught. I thought him carnal the first time watching him rant. Is that Steven Anderson or John Kirwin? Are we talking about John Kirwin now? I'm not sure. Okay, that's all right. Spray arm! The Chuckster is here. Nice. Maybe there will be an after show. It depends on what at least one co-conspirator is up to. Spray arm. Oh, there was something that we really had to go back to. Stick around for one more second. I have to answer the call of the wild real quick. Dismiss this alarm. I'll be right back, and we're going to talk about this a little bit. Oh. Alrighty. And please be praying for me and my wife. She has like no energy right now. We're not sure what it's connected to. It does not seem to be Lyme's disease. But we're trying to figure out what is exactly going on. It maybe because of the fact that she's pregnant. Maybe. We're not sure if that's why, but maybe it is. So, okay, she is pregnant, but I don't know what is causing her to be so low on energy. We're trying to give her a bunch of chlorophyll and stuff like this to help her with her blood, her hemoglobin and stuff, but we'll have to see what happens. Okay. So, am I still doing a deep dive into Gail Rip? I approve. I approve that. Yep. Spray arm in the house. Yes. Where did I go? There it is. Long story short, yes, I still am. Okay, moving on. All right, so let me explain some things. There's going to be some videos, some shorter videos that I'm going to come out with because not everybody watches all these long streams. Oh, wow, shocker. So I'm going to make some short videos explaining some stuff that I'm going to explain to you now. First thing. What was the first one? I know what the second one was. Let's start with the second one. How about that? We'll start with number 2 if you don't mind. Number 2. The page that I will be coming out with is, for now, my criticisms are going to be behind closed doors. Those who have access to the link, it is published, but it's still being created. So people that I choose are able to go look at it, give me their opinions, such like this. What I don't need is somebody that is like, I'm going to blow the lid off this guy. I'm going to send all this to Gail or whatever else. Don't need that kind of mentality. Here's the plan. And Gail may be watching this. I don't know. She probably is. Hey, Gail, if you're watching it, I appreciate it. Thank you for showing up. The plan is to make this page, going over it and over it and over it myself, seeing what's what, the best that I can, going back, checking my research, recording my initial reactions at first, being like, this is ridiculous. And then maybe going back, toning it down, maybe still retaining it for sake of, this is ridiculous. Maybe I don't feel as strongly about it at this point in time. Now that I've gone past this huge reaction that I had, but maybe I do, just weighing the whole thing out, editing it, getting all the bugs out of it, the typos, fixing the typos, the sentence structure, rearranging things, getting it how I want it. Stage 1. Right now, the people that have access to that page also have access to the password to get into the page, see the updates, give their thoughts, stuff like this. I have not sent it to all co-conspirators, and there are some people that are not co-conspirators that have the password. They're people whose opinions I value. Okay. The second step is once it's all made out, I'd be like, okay, hey Gail, just so you know, I've been going over this chapter a lot, been doing a lot of thought, a lot of research on it. I would like your input about what this page says. You've given some very good answers to different criticisms that you've had in the past. I would like to know if you have similar answers, if you have substantive answers to what I'm seeing here. She had a reply to something that was related to this a long time ago that was okay-ish, and she actually ended up bringing in a lot of explanation into subsequent printings of New Age Bible versions after I'd asked that question. But there's so much more that needs to be added. So much more. Why she says half of the things that she says in this chapter that I'm turning upside down and shaking, there just needs to be a lot explained. A lot. But anyways, sending that page to her is phase 2. Sending it for her to review. I want to hear what she has to say. The criticisms that I level, if I'm totally wrong on such and such criticism, then I would like to remove such and such criticism from the page. If there are enough such criticisms where I'm just like, well, she's thoroughly, accurately defining what she is saying and convincing me that what I thought was a problem is wrong, then I will remove it from the page. If there is a doubt in my mind as to whether or not her answer is complete, then I will leave the criticism and supply her answer to the criticism. If there is something that she criticizes, which I think, well, that it does not answer the question whatsoever, I will follow back up with her on it and be like, okay, well, how does that work? I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to be fair with Gail. I'm trying to do my best to help her fix what needs to be fixed with her book. Am I going to be treated with the same fairness? I'd like to know. I don't know, based on how she has treated her other critics. Anybody that questions her, it seems. They don't even have to go after her precious King James Bible or what have you, which it is precious. I'm not trying to be sarcastic with that comment. Somebody doesn't have to do that. If you question Gail's research on a point that is not related, let's see how she reacts. Let's see. Because there's been some spots where she's not, things just haven't been pretty. Anyways, like with James White and different people like this that brought up criticisms that had nothing to do. It was just something in her book that was messed up. And, oh, I remembered thing 1. Okay, well, let's finish thing 2 and then we'll go to thing 1. Oh boy. So, phase 2. Send it to Gail. Phase 3. Go through her answers. Revise the page as needed. Get it all sorted out. Make it public. Phase 4. People can look at it. People can review it. People can add their criticisms, their comments, their questions, their whatever. That's what my page is for. My page, I have said this before, I have said it publicly, and I have said it privately. This channel, myself, here on YouTube, I may be King James only. I may believe that the use of the King James Bible, Textus Receptus, all this stuff exclusively. I may. But what I'm not here to do is to make it so that you are happy to be King James only all of the time. And here to just bolster all the arguments that you've loved. I am not here to stroke, like I've said, I'm not here to stroke your King James only ego. I am not here to, and none of us should have any interest in that anyways. We should be interested in looking at what we are saying and making sure what we are saying adds up and is accurate. If it's not, then I would say send it on down the road. Don't try to cling to it. Don't try to defend it. Forget about it. Forget about it. If it's not accurate, forget about it. If it's not telling the truth, forget about it. James White and other modern critics that may watch this video because it's also being shared on a King James Bible debate page. The thing about Westcott, Brooke Foss Westcott, and William Wayne Westcott being conflated, there is a slight little bit possibly of conflation, possibly. But it also didn't come from that. It came from Anthony Westcott, or not Arthur Westcott. So it's different. Were they conflated to get what Gail said about Brooke Foss Westcott's writings? I would say that maybe she took them out of context. Maybe she took them out of context a lot. But were those two personalities conflated? From what I have found, the answer is absolutely no. If she had conflated the two, she would have had a lot to say about Brooke Foss Westcott. If those two were conflated, wow. He would have been more than just a London spiritualist. He would have been one of the most recognized occultists of that time. Like a straight up occultist. We've got some stuff on all that. Look him up on Wikipedia sometime, William Wynne Westcott. If that's not true and they weren't conflated, guess what? Forget about it. Don't use the dumb argument anymore. If the thing about the copyright isn't true, which I'm not trying to pick on anybody tonight, I'm not. I'm just using it as an example because it was just a recent thing that I heard just before hopping on here. If the copyright argument is not copyrighted, therefore it's God doesn't copyright things, man copyrights things. If you want to use that argument, go right ahead. But if you find out it's inaccurate, forget about it. Don't go spreading something that you aren't convinced is true. Send it on down the pike. Anyways. I just want to see if there's any... Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, there's no copyright on that at this point. Yeah. A.A. Milne is not happy. All right. Oh, bother. All right. So that's the plan with the page. I'm not done making the page. I know I've teased it out a lot. I wasn't intending on talking about it tonight because I don't want to keep teasing it out and just having people be like, when is he coming out with a dumb page? Because there's a lot. There's a lot that I'm finding. It's still holding at 86%. Not bad. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I can think of. Oh, and I also want to make a bunch of videos for that page. A video for basically each heading. So that way it'll be like, an explainer and a video, and people can comment on the video and things like this. so that it's not all just commenting on the bottom of the web page, because that would make it even longer and longer to load. And it's a deep page. It goes forever. So be prepared. It's going to be a long read. But if there's a bunch of small videos associated with it in a YouTube playlist, it makes it so much easier. So that's the long-term plan. If you guys want to help us with this whole project, become a co-conspirator, get to know me, win my trust, deceive me into thinking that you're a person that enjoys what I'm doing, and then, you know, one day just stab me in the back and be like, ha, yeah, love it. What would a conspiracy be without a mole, right? Anyways, I don't know. Already been there, done that, but okay. So, thing number 2. I was looking, I posted about it on the Friends of Gail Rplinger Facebook group, that I was looking for a copy of New Age Bible versions. I was looking for an original printing. I wanted a first printing, but I was not aware of the timeline at that point. Here's what happened. Gail Rplinger published New Age Bible versions in, I believe, March of, hang on. These are my 2 oldest copies of New Age Bible versions. This one is from October 1993. This is a 3rd printing. This one is a 5th printing from August of 1994. My other printing, which is the one that I have like 7 more of, is from 2012. It's a 16th printing. And then I have the Gray Dragon. So, October 1993, I was looking for a March of 93. Because in March of 93 was when the first edition came out. I was looking for an original, but I found a 3rd edition, or a 3rd printing. 2nd printing was July. 3rd printing was October. In November, James White debated Gail Rplinger publicly on a radio program, and there was a couple of callers. The notes that he took on that led to his booklet called New Age Bible Versions Refuted, which an expanded version of that is available on aomin.org, I believe the page is. If you type in James White New Age Bible Versions Refuted, it'll come up. Parts 1 and Part 2. You can go there, you can look at that. And I would also recommend, if you do go and view that, also grab a copy of Blind Guides by Gail Rplinger, where she answers or attempts to answer his accusations and other people's accusations. So compare them diligently, figure it all out. Anyways, if you're into this, if you're nerdy into this like I am, that's where you'll be going probably. So I wanted this copy, a 3rd printing. I'll tell you why. James White did a program with a guy named Wessel for Christian Answers TV, I believe it was called at that point. And in that program, James White pointed out a couple of things that I was like, I don't remember that being in New Age Bible version. What? So I went and looked at them. And I was like, these aren't in New Age Bible versions, are they? So I was like, okay, so if let's see, there's 2 possibilities. 1, James White made up the scenario, completely and totally made it up. In which case, if he's making this New Age Bible Versions Refuted thing for Christians that are like, oh shoot, there's New Age Bible versions in our church now, it's splitting us apart, it's a pain in the rear, what are we supposed to do? And he's making this thing to help said people get rid of New Age Bible versions, then it would be helpful for it to be accurate where it says there's issues. So if there's an issue, it should at least be there. So I was like, okay, so James White probably didn't make it up. Or maybe Gail Rplinger fixed it when James White pointed out the problem. But then I was like, no, because in New Age Bible versions, she said that James White is changing his criticisms of New Age Bible versions as his errors are exposed. Now, there was a couple of errors that he did change, like his spelling of Gail's first name. I believe he spelled it not G-A-I-L. It was G-A-L-E, I believe. And Tex Mars and everybody else like this, they just made hay out of it because, you know, he misspelled her name. He can't even spell her name right. And like he said in this interview with this guy named Wessel, he was like, look at the book. Her name doesn't even appear in the book. It's not on the book. It's G.A. Rplinger. So he's like, I just picked a spelling. There's not even an indication in the entire book that it's written by a woman. And that's true. I thought for a couple of months after I got New Age Bible versions, I thought it was written by a man. And when I found out that it was written by a woman, I had a little bit of a check in my spirit, and I was just like, wait a second. We supposed to be... And I was like, well, I mean, they can still have... I mean, it's not necessarily... She's not a pastor. It's like, okay, whatever. It's fine. She's just an author. It's okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I wanted to find out for myself. So I went on eBay, found somebody that was selling an early edition from 1993, and I was like, okay, I would like to get this one because I knew it was from 93 and that's when it was published. But I did not realize that it was published 3 times in 1993. This one comes a month before James White debated her. Debated her in November. From those notes grew New Age Bible versions refuted. And blind guides. King James Version ditches blind guides. This one right here. Large format. It's like 80-some pages. 87 pages. And this is the 2007. Yeah. Update 2007. There's another update from 2013. Which, as far as I'm aware, Brian Ross has been criticizing Gail for at least 10 years. So maybe it has some stuff in there about Brian Ross. I don't know. There'll probably be one from 2024 as well at some point. But we'll see. So I'm looking forward to all that. So what I've been doing is I've been looking at the criticisms that James White gives of Gail's book. I did not mention this. I'm so sorry for those of you that are on the Friends of Gail Rplinger page. I did not say why I wanted to check it. I wanted the earlier edition because I didn't want to go into details. I just didn't because I was just looking for the book. But I'll go into details right now. I wanted to take a look at this and I wanted to be like, okay, is James White making this up? So I went and I looked at an edition that he could have easily had access to, and also one that would have not been changed based on his recommendations because his recommendations hadn't even been voiced at this point, even though he may have been looking at a first printing. Went to the third printing. I wanted to see if James had lied or if Gail had actually made a couple of mistakes. And it's fine if she did make a couple of mistakes, so long as they're honest mistakes. As long as they're honest mistakes. So, I would say that what I have seen so far, the mistakes were honest mistakes. They were based on misreadings of Greek text, which I don't even know if she could read or do anything or function at all with Greek at that point. I don't know. I don't function with it whatsoever myself. I know a few letters based on, you know, physics. Like when I took physics, there was some letters that I remember, you know, and that's about it. So I went and I checked New Age Bible versions because it's written in English, and I checked it in the third printing, and I checked in the fifth printing, and then I checked in the 16th printing, which I have over there, from 2012. And it turned out that sometime in between, now there was one of the three criticisms that I looked at. One of them, and we'll go into more detail in future videos, so hit that subscribe button. You know how to do that. I went and I looked, and one of the criticisms was changed by the fifth printing. One of them. The sentence where she made the error was basically removed, and it was made into a longer sentence. And it was just an error of fact. But James White has something to say about that error of fact. James White made a slight error on it himself. And from what I can see, Gail roasted him on that slight error. Gail's original statement was in gross error. She just changed it and didn't say anything about it in blind guides whatsoever. There's another one where she said all, and she says that, oh, it should have said almost all. That was obviously a typo. Was it a typo? It probably could have been, because she didn't type it out. I don't know. And then there's another one where she tries to wield the Greek, and James corrects her on that one. And she doesn't correct it by the fifth printing, but then somewhere along the line between the 5th and the 16th printing, I don't know where, it got removed. Parenthetical statement in the chart that detailed this thing that modern version translators can't read Greek. All Greek texts say blah. And they translate it, they pretend that it says blah. And James White's just like, you imbecile! And she ended up taking that statement out of New Age Bible versions. But I don't think she admitted the error in here that I could find. So this is all going to go into another page that I'm working on. And this is something that I want you guys to do for me. Please do this for me. When I'm wrong, tell me! Thank you. Because I don't want to be wrong. I don't like being wrong. I don't like having to eat my words, but I will. I have to, because this is all in the interest of truth. Don't take what I say at face value and be like, oh, Joseph said it, okay. Please don't. That's a poisonous attitude. That's what Andersonites did for Anderson. That's what some people do for James White. That's what people do for Gail Rplinger, Peter Ruckman, all these people. You put them up on a pedestal, you make a personality cult. That's a failed experiment. Let's not do that here. And I don't want to tell you what to think. I don't want to tell you how to think. I feel that there has been a lot in King James onlyism and modern version advocate, whatever, I don't know. Modern versionists. I don't know what to tell them or what to call them. There's been a lot on both sides where they tell you what you are to think, or you feel like you're being told what to think, or else, you know, I'm a heretic if I think different. I'm going to hell if I disagree. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like feeling that kind of pressure. It's like, my salvation, my intelligence is not based on my agreement with you. It's not. So when you're wrong, I'll just try to say you're wrong. And I like what you said here and here, but I don't like what you said here. So it's just to be honest. So please. This is one of the things that I'm trying to do with our website. Give you all the information I can so you can make up your own mind. I reach conclusions, but I encourage you to reach your own conclusions. And please tell me about your conclusions and why you reached a different conclusion, because I would love to think about that too. And if I think, oh, shoot, wow, that's actually really cool. And that's probably right. That's better research than what I was going with over here. So yeah, let's add this to the, and then get other people's opinions on it and, figure this out. What was the one thing? To document a personal quest to untangle the modern Bible version controversy. And boy, does it need untangling sometimes. So please. But anyhow, there's a page where I'm going to be doing that, giving all the information that I can. It's going to be called the Gail Rplinger Controversy. I have other pages that are named similarly. I think Sinaiticus Controversy, I think that's one. I forget. Anyways. In the Gail Rplinger Controversy, I'm going to try to bring all the information that I can to the table. And I've already started a folder in our Google Drive that gives the problems that I have found, the 3 that I've mentioned tonight. I haven't gone deep into them or given you page numbers or context or what have you. But in this folder, I might end up sharing it with the co-conspirators at some point. I've already shared it with one friend. We'll see. But in this folder, I'm making a folder for a verse that, is in its context, there was a problem. And then give photos of 3rd, 5th, and 12th edition and any other editions that I acquire. And, that are relevant up to it being corrected or, have interesting places or what have you. And also the answer to the criticism as supplied by Gail Rplinger, and also the criticism itself as supplied by James White. So those would all be screen captures, and then also link to, New Age Bible versions refuted and stuff like this. So you guys can go through and you can see exactly how the information is being handled and make up your own mind as to what you think of the persons involved. I.e., Gail and James. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting page, to say the least. It's going to be a very, very interesting page. And that's separate from the chapter analysis that we're doing. And there's a lot of information, a lot going on behind the scenes. There is a war going on underground between the reptoids and the humanoids and us. And there's A-bombs going off in the Hollow Mountains and all this stuff. Yeah. So there's a lot of things right now that are just kind of behind the scenes that I'm not talking about yet, because I don't think it's best to bring it out, blah. At this point, trying to be the bigger person and trying to exercise the little maturity that I have, and we'll see what happens. See if there's any other I wouldn't say that there's really blind faith through Christ. I agree with that. But I think I get where following is coming from, though, on that one. Oh, let's see. Yes, sleep is calling, I am sure. What time is it anyways? 10:30. Yep. Oh, shoot. Dave Hunt taught me that through many infallible scriptural proofs, I listen to his teaching more so than any other man because he taught me so many biblical truths throughout the years. I should probably get his book Confessions of a Heretic some point. That would be interesting. Because I'm pretty sure Gail references it like once or twice, even though she used to boast that her book was endorsed by Dave Hunt, but then she doesn't because she found something weird in that book. So apparently somebody or something talked to him in his bedroom at night. And I've heard that story before. Let's see. Have you ever heard of a book that she co-wrote titled The Strong Delusion or something like that? Was about Strong's Concordance. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought she had wrote that. There was a Strong Delusion thing that she did. It's a chapter in Hazardous Materials. Strong Delusion. It's about James Strong and his concordance. But besides that, not that I'm aware of. I didn't know that. Well, I know she's co-written a couple of books, I think. But, anyways. Yes. God bless you, Avery. Thanks for showing up. Well, it's ready. It's ready. Okay. Hang on. Yes, and faithful are the wounds of a friend. I'll tell you something. In our secret streams, I've been going through the development of this page with our co-conspirators for several weeks now. And I have said a lot of very unkind things regarding Gail. Because the level of subterfuge that I am seeing is ridiculous. And I'm looking forward to talking about it. I am more so looking forward to hearing her answers, if answers there be. Probably once the page is finished, I will leave it in her hands for maybe a month. Follow up with her weekly. Hey, did you see the email? Hey, did you see the email? If she doesn't get back to me, I'll just have to publish it. And we'll just have to deal with what happens from that point on. Okay. Well, when it is ready, it is ready. No point in trying to rush something if it just isn't ready. Besides, the refinement makes the information reliable and non-biased. That is rare these days, very rare. Yep. And that's one thing that I'm trying to do, because there was a lot of paranoia and a lot of bias that went into the production of New Age Bible versions, and I'm trying to undo that as best as I can. I am trying. It's not easy. Half the things that I'm not half the things, like everything that I'm looking at in this. She's like, oh well, she says this so many times. You need to be more of an expert on these kind of things. You need to immerse yourself in the material, become one with the subject. And I'm just like, well, this is what I'm gonna have to do. And I'm doing the best I can to learn everything that I can about what is discussed in that chapter. There's a lot of reaching out to people that I have to do, and a lot of reading that I have to do. But by the time it's done, I don't think that learning more about this is going to yield much different conclusions than I'm already seeing just at face value. Because honestly, this chapter doesn't run that deep. It talks about like 2 things, and that's it, pretty much. And it's like, and it's very, very shallow. Just the length of it is just, it's gonna take some time. It's gonna take some time to sort through everything, especially with a full-time job and 4 kids and another one on the way. And just, I have very little time. I haven't actually worked on the page in maybe 2 weeks at this point. Probably almost 2 weeks. Because there's also 2 or 3 days out of the week where I'm getting ready to put a video up. So that doesn't add to the time that I have available to work on the page. So, like I said, if you guys want to become co-conspirators and help us be able to do this part-time, that would be amazing. $7 a month or whatever you can spare. It'd be amazing. And you'd be able to join us on the ground floor of all the things that we're trying to accomplish here. So, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining me. Oh shoot. Yes. Was there something going on? There was something going on with them, wasn't there? Before I forget, please pray for Nick, that'd be Nick Sayers, and his wife while they are in Pakistan sharing the life-giving gospel with very unfortunate people. Yes, guys, please pray for Nick. Let's do that right now. Dear God, thank you for Nick and for the hours of time that he's put into examining your word and the claims that people make about it. Thank you so much for his ministry, and thank you for the opportunity that I've had to know him and speak with him. Please protect them as they're over in Pakistan. I do not know what the political and violence sort of environment is right now over there, but please keep them safe. Please prepare the way before them, as there, I have heard, are many hearts that are opening up to your word over there at this point. Please protect them. Give them safe travel there and back to their home in Australia. And just may your word not return void. I know that he really has a firm grasp on a lot of things, and he's just got a lot that he deals with on a daily basis. Please be with him, give him strength, and whatever else he needs. I don't know if there's there are many things that he needs that I'm sure you know of, but there's no way I could. So, Lord, please give him what he needs and what he desires, and just their time there. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Yes, and amen. Keep steady. Alrighty. Yeah, thank you guys for joining me. I don't know if there was any other questions that you guys had in the meantime or not. I don't know when I'm going to be doing another public stream like this. I would love to do them more regularly. Right now, I'm down to about once a month. Last month, I think we weren't able to get one. But we were able to do one this month, which I'm happy about. Trying to think if there's anything else that is really dire that I should mention. I really want to do a live stream on the demonology of King James. I may end up doing one, maybe do a Q&A, maybe. I'm not sure about it on for our live stream at the end of the month of October, because it's right around Halloween. Maybe we'll do something like that. That would be a good idea. We shall see, but the thing is that my spare time right now that I have to work on this channel is doing 2 things. making a short video every week to air on Saturday. That's the goal. Saturday at noon is the goal. I don't always hit it, but I try. I tell you what, guys, I'm grinding all the time. Man, just... Anyways. At least as much as I can, because sometimes I'm just like, I just need a break. And then the other thing that I try to do, that I have to do for this channel, is work on that page. Because every little bit, there's so much that has to, oh my goodness. There's so much that has to go into that page. It's a long ways off. But until I finish the page about the chapter, until I finish that, I kind of have to put the long form podcast style. I kind of have to put that aside for now. Because the prep for that is, and the mentality to get that out on top of what else we're doing, it just has to go into stasis for now. So, unfortunately, but yeah, I would be thrilled at this point. Just to mention, I would be thrilled if I could go part-time at the job that I'm doing right now and part-time doing this. That would be phenomenal. I don't have the business mind for this kind of thing. I have the passion behind it, and I have the platforms available, and I have the system basically set up. I need to refine it, and I have a lot of learning to do. But not there yet. And it's going to happen in God's time. Let's see. It was awesome getting to actually say hi to you. Hey, absolutely following. And like I said, if you want to contact me the other ways that you're able to contact me, that'd be awesome. BibleVersionConspiracy@gmail.com. Contact me through the website, through the Let's Talk section at the bottom of each page. Message me on Messenger, whatever. I'm a little more hesitant to put out my personal phone number, but I do that pretty freely. I just wasn't going to put it right here because I don't need John Kirwin calling me. So, anyways, it was awesome getting to actually say hi to you. Much love to everyone, and Lord willing, we can all chat again. And yeah, that'd be awesome. It's been a great crowd tonight. I have appreciated it immensely. And if you weren't able to interact tonight and you wish you could have, head on over to YouTube, make yourself a little account. It doesn't take more than a couple seconds. You don't need a YouTube channel, I don't believe, to comment. And if you do need a YouTube channel to comment, maybe things have changed. Make a playlist or something and then try to share it. If you make a playlist and then try to share it, you're going to need to have a channel. And it's as simple as going, make me a channel. That's it. You don't need to upload regularly. You don't have to meet some kind of deadline. It's just having a channel is amazing. It opens up being able to interact in the YouTube chat. If it does even, I don't even know. I'm pretty sure you just need an account. It's super easy, barely an inconvenience, says Ryan George, one of my favorite comedians would say. Don't forget to make time for home, brother. And that's where most of my time goes with the kids and everything. And they're growing up so fast. Abigail's already 6. Jacob is on the verge of taking a step. Junie wants to play baseball all the time. Jeremiah wants to drink juice. They're hilarious. You guys might have seen just a little bit of them over here at the beginning of the stream. As they were in and out, some stuff. But anyways, make time for home. Yep. And the more fully we can dedicate ourselves to this, the more we can dedicate to that. Let's see. Seems you're doing fine, and the YouTube stuff every 3 to 5 days has better views than daily. Oh, yes. Yep. Nick Sayers is here. How you doing, Nick? And here we are just wrapping up. And of course, you're coming in from Australia because you're on the other side of which, by the way, is it springtime there? It's what I would understand anyways, because we're coming into fall. So we kind of rotate seasons like that because you're in the southern hemisphere. But you're in Pakistan now, I think. They just mentioned. Or maybe you just got back because you said you're watching from Australia. I don't know. But yeah, we had a lot to talk about tonight. And Nick, I know you have a lot of things that you do on your channel, but I don't know if you have time to go back and watch all the things we've talked about, but it's been some stuff. Let me tell you, it's been some stuff. If you have anything that you want to ask me, Nick, that's great. Just message me. You know how to do that. And he says, most certainly, following says, most certainly don't dox yourself. I agree. I don't intend on doxing myself. Not at all. His plane is delayed in Sydney. About to head off to Pakistan. Nice. Be safe. Please be safe. We need the 4-hour streams. Let's see. And yeah, most certainly don't dox yourself. Yeah, no. I try to give out as little information about where we actually are as I possibly can. So yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else dire. We talked, let's see. We made a little bit of allusions to the Steven Anderson stuff. We didn't really discuss it thoroughly, but a little bit. We talked a little bit about the Mandela effect with Isaiah 11:6, which comes up so frequently. We talked about why I wanted a 1993 printing. This is 1994. 1993 printing of New Age Bible versions. The different errors that were quietly corrected by Gail. She does not like admitting that she was wrong. She just quietly corrects things. Oh, it's so beautiful how she does it. Can't admit she's wrong. I will say this. I have never heard Gail Rplinger admit that she was wrong. Ever. Never heard it. That's my modification of east side, west side. It's ever. I don't know. I just made that up. Never heard her admit that she was wrong. Now that's what we don't need. Because everybody, and especially, my goodness, you're writing a 700-page book. You're going to be wrong once in a while. Please, just admit when you're wrong. Instead of pretending everybody else is wrong all the time. And I'm the most thorough, accurate scholar ever, and I'm seeing all this. Indeed. We don't need thorough, accurate, exhaustive, and super intelligent, untouchable scholars. We don't need those kind of people anymore. We don't. Nobody needs them. We need people that are accurate scholars, students of their subject, and are willing to admit when they're wrong. Willing to fess up. Willing to take criticisms. Those are the kind of men and women we need. I would say, Nick, you're one of those people. When you're shown that you're incorrect, you're like, hey, I was wrong. Brian Ross, whom I know personally, I don't know him face to face. I don't go to his church, but we're friends. He is one of the people that will fess up to being wrong publicly. Mark Ward has done the same thing. He has said, I was wrong. To like with the Steven Anderson thing where he kind of jumped the gun and was like, oh, Anderson's correcting the King James Bible. Which I still think that the King James Bible reads exactly as it should. If he be to be put to death, I think that that's exactly how it should read, and it makes all the sense in the world to me. Didn't make sense to Steven Anderson, though, apparently. But whatever. Mark Ward made a video after that. Yeah, I jumped the gun. I acted hastily, and I just wanted to capitalize on the irony, and I was wrong. In a particular. And they do it in particulars, too. That's what we need. What we don't need are people that won't. What we don't need are people that are like, ooh, I was wrong. Just kind of shove that under them. We're just not going to think about, oh, look at how evil this person criticizing me truly is. Oh, my goodness, look at that. I made a typo. Oh, well, I can make typos. Everybody makes typos, but look at that. They just made a typo. Oh, look at this typo they just made. Typos. Not trying to make a parody out of somebody, but my goodness. Sometimes it's just like, wow. We need the people that are human. We need the people who are honest. We need the people who are willing to be incorrect. We need them. We need them. There is no place for the doctor that ignores how his patient got better. We don't need that anymore. We don't need the doctor that thinks he's God anymore. We don't need the King James Bible defender that thinks that he's right all of the time. We don't need him. If you're one of those people, something's got to happen. And we all have our moments where we're like, I don't want to be wrong. It's our responsibility then to admit when we are wrong. As following says, safe travels to Revolution. That be Nick Sayers. And methinks she is paranoid because she is afraid that people will think her less when in truth they would have more respect. Yes. When you're willing to admit that you're wrong, people have more respect for you. When you're always right all the time, like Steven Anderson, you make a personality cult. And people look to you for all of their answers. And when you fall, they fall. And when you fall and you hit the ground, they hit the ground harder. And yes, Christ says to judge ourselves first. Yep. That's your next comment. Just my conjecture, Gail and Peanut Gallery. Yep. Alrighty. Well, we're on the verge of 3 hours. We should probably shut things down. Co-conspirators, I don't know if you are wanting to do a private stream or not. By the way, if you joined our Buy Me a Coffee right now, or if you did it tomorrow, you would have the link to this studio. So you can actually join us for the live stream if you make an account now through Buy Me a Coffee, or go to our let's see, if you go to our website, like I've showed you, and you go to, okay, so that's wish list, buy me a book, whatever. You can go there, become a co-conspirator. This is on the join our mission, or you can go to the main page, and if you click to become a member, join membership, it'll take you here. Become a member. Currently, I'm at $47 a month, which is what I'm making. I've got 9 members and 2 exclusive posts. I've got to make more of those. I don't do a lot of posting. I've got to do more of that. Co-conspirator membership, $7 a month. You hit join, you get the benefits. And it basically asks you to set up an account, you know, basic email information, address, stuff like this. And that's that. And you're part of the co-conspiracy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to how do I do that? Oh, that's right. Invite. Copy. And I'm going to go to messages and after stream, after show, members stream. There. Alrighty then. So that's pretty easy. And right now we only have the co-conspirator membership because right now the people that are in there that interact with me, they have proven themselves to be thoughtful, trustworthy, helpful, and supportive. Someday in the future, there's going to be hopefully a bunch more people in here that I am less connected with. And at that point, we'll have to make another tier, something like, I don't know, initiate or inner circle, or I'm not sure what we're going to call it. But then they will be by invitation only. And those will be the people that aren't going to pay a penny more. But these will be the people that have earned my trust and have been found to be insightful, helpful, and understanding. There have been people that have been part of our co-conspirator group. I'm not going to mention their names. There have been people on there that have been real hotheads. That have just gone off the handle, exposed us to the world and everything like this. You know, really made a real, you know, it's been so much fun. So much fun. But anyways. So yeah. I appreciate you guys coming, showing up, being part of this. I know I've said that 3 times. But I don't like ending the stream because I love talking about this stuff and thinking about it. And what I will say is I don't think that Gail Rplinger is a knowing part of the conspiracy. I don't think so. But I don't know. Could she be a lizard person in disguise? I don't know. One thing that I have suspected... Hang on. One thing that I have suspected is because there is a thing like with do you guys remember that one book, Satan's Underground? Oh, what's that lady's name? I forget the lady's name. But she wrote this book and, you know, claimed that she was just terribly abused by, Satanism and everything. And it was a wild read. But then you find out that she also claimed to be a Holocaust survivor. And when I hear that, I'm just like, okay, there's some possibilities here. First, everybody's lying. Second, she lied about her experience and lied about being a Holocaust survivor. Third, she's being taken out of context, and when she meant she survived a Holocaust, that doesn't mean that she survived the Holocaust under Adolf Hitler. It means that she went through a crucible. Third possibility, she was replaced, or somebody else who looked like her or posed as her said these things, and it wasn't really her. What are we on? Fifth now? Fifth, I guess? Fifth. As Fritz Springmeier suspects, the lady that wrote Satan's Underground, she may have been programmed that way. Fritz Springmeier deals with Illuminati programmed people that are programmed with multiple personalities, and sometimes they are programmed to defeat themselves. So, for instance, this lady would have written all of this stuff that was true, exposing whatever, and then eventually just, oh, I'm also a Holocaust survivor. You obviously aren't, and she wasn't. But was she programmed to also say that? Was this one of her alter personalities or whatever that did this? Discrediting of herself and her story after telling the truth, if she told the truth about the Satan's Underground. And then, you get the idea. What if New Age Bible versions, what if there is a conspiracy behind the modern Bible versions to change wording to match up to Satan's one world religion? That's exactly what Lawrence Dunnigan said. That's exactly what Richard Day said. One an atheist, one a Catholic pediatrician. Gail was right in the premise. But then the documentation end of things and the proof end of things and the understanding use of capitalization end of things just went to heck. And what if, and remember, she's been blacklisted on just about every Christian platform. There are King James onlyists that laugh when they hear the name Gail Rplinger because her use of dot and brackets and missed citations and just inability to function as a scholar, as James White points out. All these different things, all these different fails. What if it's on purpose? What if she's not what if she's not what people have taken her for, the biggest dummy to ever open her mouth about modern translations? What if she's not? And what if she actually is doing a pretty good job? But she's programmed basically to self-destruct. That's just a thought that I've had. Usually the way that something like that happens is by torture. You fragment, the standard practice, as I understand, is to fragment, and here we're getting into the conspiracy end of things. Thanks for sticking around. Is to fragment one's personality through trauma early so that you can, build your web better, instead of having to deal with, the real big kind of fractures that happen once you have, your mentality and everything established, and then breaking that and then trying to reconstruct it. So this generally happens when you're a child. Into, I believe it's 162 personalities is the Mengele method. So what if, and now I understand that Gail had a very traumatic childhood. Apparently her father was a drunk. Apparently. Don't know much about her, though, as far as that goes. She also wouldn't remember being fragmented necessarily. It would be a dissociative identity disorder, I guess, and it could also just be completely unaware of it. There was a little girl that was, AR'd by a guy, and she had no memory of it, but she was. And the thing that she remembered was looking up at the clouds while it was happening, but she didn't remember anything actually happening besides that, just looking at the sky. Or the little girl behind Sparky, surviving sex magic. When her psychologist started looking into her life and he started realizing some interesting things, he was like, I probably lost some people at this point, but what do you think of your, like, when you think of your mother, draw a picture of what you think of when you think of your mother. And so she drew a picture, and the only picture that she could draw when she thought of her mother was a hand. And he's just like, okay, there's something wrong going on here. And there was. They ended up uncovering a huge, huge part of her life that was horrifying. I forget what the lady's name is. I believe she was a doctor, of some caliber. And she wrote, like I said, Sparky, Surviving Sex Magic. There's an interview that Tony Merkel of the Confessionals did with her. And remember, Gail said that her marriages were only marriages on paper, so she felt that it was fine for her to lie to the Waits and tell them that she had never been married before Michael Rplinger. And yeah, she had been, and she'd been divorced twice. But she said that that was okay because they were just marriages on paper because they never consummated. So she said that both of her husbands were homosexuals, but then D.A. Waite calls their house and talks to the guy's wives, and they laughed in his face, and they're like, no. But what if they did consummate and Gail didn't remember? What if it wasn't necessarily a regular consummation? Was she traded between homosexual husbands? Was she traded between handlers, programmers? Gail, understandably, with that kind of experience in her life and being a former New Ager and a former Catholic, she understandably would have a lot of paranoia. And she's obviously holding on to this King James thing for dear life. I'd imagine that she needs some kind of stability. But we got to kind of be understanding. She's been through a lot. A lot more than, maybe a lot of us could imagine. I'm not, the conspiracy stuff aside, she's been through a lot more than a lot of us have. And her and her second husband, I believe, also wrote a book. I can't find a copy of it. It's only referenced in like one other book. And it was about how Gail and her husband came out of the occult or the New Age or something like this. I would love to find that book. I don't remember what the title of it was. Phil Stringer mentioned it, I think, once. And I tried looking it up at one point. But yeah, if I could get my hands on that, or even a photographs of it, the pages, that'd be like, wow, it'd be so cool. But then I'd also be looking for clues. If you want a good book on this kind of stuff, The Transformation of America, that's a good one. I've heard. There's an audiobook available, but I haven't listened to it yet. Well, it is a way for her to remake herself So maybe she wants to not remember those times. I would imagine. Her new image after her book Fame? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, and also she was never a home ec teacher. Not to my knowledge. She taught interior design. That has to do with, like, you know, spatial constructions and layouts and materials and everything like this. My sister's an interior designer, not an interior decorator. It's a much more involved field that deals a lot with architecture and functionality and everything else. So set that myth aside, please. She's not a home ec teacher. I think that might have been started by Theodore Letus. Because when he saw interior designer, he thought interior decorator, so he thought home ec department. At least that's my understanding of the whole how that came about. So, but anyways, that is also me, because I've accepted and defended and promoted Gail for so long. That's also me taking what I've learned about trauma-based mind control and so many other things. That's me trying to explain what I am seeing, because what I am seeing in New Age Bible versions is just another level. It is something that I have never seen in a book. There are so many people that have looked at New Age Bible versions and examined it and just been like, there is no book that does this crap. There is nothing out there that is this horrible in its documentation, its research, its citation, its use of ellipsis marks, its dishonesty, its subterfuge. It's just awful. Why? It's supposed to be defending the perfection of the King James Bible. Why does it have to be the worst? Well, there's the idea that we're trying to combat a conspiracy, therefore we're making a lot of theories and a lot of conjectures and a lot of, oh, this connects to this way, even though it might not necessarily. We're going out on a limb on a lot of different things, which she never would have said. She was just like, oh no, this isn't a thorough, exhaustive documentation, which is not how it actually is. But then, if the King James Bible is God's word, and if there is a conspiracy against it, wouldn't it make sense that there would be a book that would defend the King James Bible and go against a conspiracy? Fight against it publicly, but then that it would be a failure and worthless for research and a dud and have a very limited fan base after it's publicly exposed and blacklisted, and everybody look at it and be like, this is awful. Oh, the stupid King James only. So yeah, Gail Rplinger. Ha! Which is where, like, a lot of people like confessional bibliology and all these people are trying to distance themselves from that kind of just that kind of baggage and struggling to do so. I've sought from the beginning of this channel. I've hoped to promote Gail and her work where she is right. But at the same time, since I've started this channel, I've wanted to distance myself from the reputation that she's gotten herself, so that the information could get out without that baggage. And I find myself having to try to distance myself from her even more. And yeah. Anyways. Oh, here we go. She remembers, but just won't ever say it, and will always ignore it, maybe. Like they are setting it up to take a fall later. Yep. Prophecy Club and Gail. That's why I don't. Yeah, that's one thing that people have said. Because there was a lot of hooey promoted by the Prophecy Club. There was a lot of good stuff too, I think. Bill Schneblin made his debut, I believe, on the Prophecy Club. And all those videos are still on YouTube if I'm not mistaken. But yeah. There was a statement that Gail made on the Prophecy Club that one of my co-conspirators heard and was just like, oh wow, that's incredible. And he was like, I wonder if that's true. So he ended up thinking about it for a while and, you know, forgot about it and never really followed through on his question as to whether or not it was legitimate. And then one night he's like, hey, Joseph, actually, if you wanted to look into something, I always had this question in my mind. And I was just like, okay. So I went and I looked into it and I was just like, so. And that was the birth of the page that we've been working on for so long. You guys that are still watching this, you are amazing. 3 hours and 14 minutes later, you guys are phenomenal. Hands down. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it a lot. Oh, and if you don't want to become a member, if you want to help us out, if you want to help us, you know, buy books, keep the website up and running, keep paying for the StreamYard studio that we're using, and hopefully be able to upgrade, because I would love to be able to do this in 1080p. You can buy us some books on the Buy Me a Coffee as well. It's like $5 a book, something like that. So it's our replacement for buying me a coffee. Anyways, I appreciate everything that you guys do. I appreciate you guys being here, your input, having a listening ear, listening to my conspiracy theory that somehow Gail Rplinger may be an Illuminati-controlled sex slave. Ugh. But the thing is that they're out there. The thing is that they are actually out there. If you guys subscribe to any other conspiracy channel beside my own, check out The Confessionals by Tony Merkel. Check it out. They've got some fantastic interviews on there. And anything on there that has anything to do with MK Ultra or, you know, anything like that, I'd highly recommend listening to the Nathan Reynolds interviews. Bloodline of Monsters was the first one. Wow. There's a lot going on that. No idea. We have no idea. We are sheep in a fold. And we know nothing. It's incredible. And I'm not saying that he's right all the time, obviously, duh. But what we've been told is kind of true, but, yeah. Okay. I'm going to close it down. Thank you guys for joining me. You guys obviously like hanging out for long streams. Hang on a second. Hey, that's actually not the craziest thing I've heard, but yeah, there are some things. Not for YouTube. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't see how Tony Merkel gets away with half the things he puts on YouTube. But they do. And it's not the stuff that you typically get banned for, obviously. Wow. Anyways. Am I tired? Let's get on to this secret stream, shall we? Whoever's around. Hop right in. Alright, I'm going to put up some of the video. Dana Coverstone. Following, please message me. Fill me in on these names you're dropping. Alrighty. Oh, that's right. One other thing. What do you think of that? Let me know what you think in the comments. Message me, whatever. This is a potential. It is a potential for a new merch design for our merchandise shop. So this would be available on hats, t-shirts, blah blah blah. Everything from aprons to stuffed bears. So if this is something that you like, please let me know. If you'd like to see something changed, please let me know what you think of it. That'd be amazing. And yeah, I submit it for your approval. And that has not gone out yet. There may be some changes that I make to it as well. I've had a few different versions that I've run through of this one. We shall see. And the yellow looks kind of muted. The yellow paint kind of streak there, that's more of a bright yellow is the plan. So yeah, let me know what you think. So let's see. During the cooties, he had a monetized YouTube channel the whole pandemic. Dana, I guess? I'm not sure. All right. Following loves it. He loves it. And then he suggests a change of the slogan to read your Bible because Satan doesn't need to. Oh, I like that. Ay. By the way, following, in case you want a free invite to become a co-conspirator, you're probably well on your way. There's a few people that I have invited in because I knew them and, you know, I enjoy them and everything already. But anyways, don't want to give out too many free memberships. Like I said, I appreciate you guys a lot. Let's run that end video. If it'll let me. And we'll run a few of them. And then we'll transition right on out of here. So we're going to go with... And then we're going to do a... And just a little bit of... Oh, but then a whole... All right. Catch you later. That was my attempt to catch you later.